spokesperson ka na. Kung ano man yung nangyayari doon sa loob at kailangan ng kasagutan ng media, ng government official, or ng community stakeholders, ikaw as a manager, babanggitin mo yung information externally, directly outside of your organization. Next, decisional roles. Pag sinabing decisional, ba ikaw as a manager, you are, tawag dito, choosing the best courses of action na kung saan, kasi that is, or those can directly impact yung ating organization. Kaya dito, mayroong entrepreneur na tinatawag. Si entrepreneur, ito, ikaw as a manager, you are acting as agent of change. Hindi po ito tumutukoy sa ano, pag sinabi entrepreneur, hindi lang siya tumutukoy sa commercial businesses. Dito, tinitingnan mo as a manager, tinitingnan mo ano ba yung mga ways on how your organization will improve. Ano ba yung mga modern na technologies that could be adapted by the organization para at least yung department natin is maging more efficient and effective. So that is entrepreneur. You are looking for best ways or more ways to help the department or organization. Next, disturbance handler. Of course, dito, from the word itself naman, ikaw ang role mo dito, reactive to crisis management. Ikaw as a manager, you are taking immediate command kung kinakailangan, diba? Kung may sudden emergency, so you are addressing it, okay, with high level of, ano yun, experience doon sa my job. Kasi alam ng manager na crisis, those are inevitable part of the job. Pag sinabi inevitable, hindi mo may iwasan yan. Ang crisis ay part na ng pag-work ng isang organization. Ikaw as a manager, kailangan mo lang siya may handle effectively. And resource allocator, of course, ikaw as a manager, kailangan mo mag-decide exactly who gets what, kailan nila makukuha, o magkano yung makukuha nila. So that is as simple as that. Ibig sabihin, ng manager, ikaw, nag-approve ka ng project, nag-approve ka ng budget, diba? Nag-approve ka ng mga personnel o individual, kung sino man yung kinakailangan na manpower doon. So that is the resource allocator. And lastly, negotiator, engage with external parties, sa suppliers, employees, and government agencies. So, paano dito? So, ikaw as a manager, so kailangan mo of course ng large networks kung saan ka pa pwedeng kumuha ng, for example, in the law enforcement, pwede ka makipag-negotiate sa mga different stakeholders natin. The LGUs, hindi naman pwede na ikaw as police, inupo ka lang, so, para makakuha ka ng information. So, hindi. You can ask from the external parties to help you. And now, what is problem solving ngayon? Ang problem solving, systematic process of identifying, analyzing, and resolving a problem or difficulty to achieve a desired outcome. So, paano ito? So, you need to identify muna ano ba yung problema. Pangalawa, you need to analyze ano kaya yung nag-uugat doon sa problema. At pangatlo, paano mo ngayon mariresolba yung ugat ng problema. So that is problem solving. You are listing courses of action, alternative, what are those strategy na kinakailangan in order to solve the problem. And the ultimate law enforcement application po niyan is the SARA model. Okay? Kung saan ito po ginagamit for the community-oriented policing and problem-oriented policing, lalo na sa problem solving. And, tignan natin, scanning. Ano kailangan mong i-scan? Sabi dyan, you are merely stop being reactive. Merong krimen, mag-react ka, hindi. You need to be proactive, sabi sa scanning. You need to identify recurring problems in the community. But you need to look for the bigger picture. You need to look for the patterns. You need to look for the trends, including yung mga incidents that could affect or that affecting the public safety. So that is the scanning. Tinitingnan mo lahat ng angulo. Hindi ka lang tumitingin sa isang krimen, kundi lahat ng krimen. Next, analysis. Nag-scan ka na, nakita mo. Next is analysis. So dito, ina-analyze mo ngayon kung saan ba possible, okay? O ano ba yung nag-contribute, diba? You are looking or analyzing the multiple underlying conditions kung bakit ba mayroong crime patterns na gano'n. So that is an analysis. Kaya sabi ko, you are gathering data, interviewing victims, and identifying why it is happening. Next, response, of course. Nag-scan ka, na-analyze mo, then undercover mo na yung root cause. Ikaw ngayon, or ngayon ang department, papasok na sa response phase. So, yung root cause, hindi naman pwede natapalan mo lang ng band-aid kasi yung band-aid, yun ay pang temporary lang. Sa response, kailangan mo mag-tailor ng mga solution that could be applied long term. Okay? So, yun po yung sinasabi sa response. Nasabi daw, developing and implementing tailor-made solutions. Pwede kang magbasa ng ordinance or pwede kang magkaroon ng moving camera positions. So, pwede yun. Diba? Kasi para ma-monitor mo usually or makapag-respond ka, hindi siya band-aid lang. Naglalagay ka ng tao doon and then kinabukasan, wala namang tao. Sa susunod na may tao ulit. So, hindi siya effective at hindi siya permanent or long-term. And assessment, of course, from the word. Kaya na just implement a plan. Titignan mo kung yan ba ay nag-work out ng maayos. That is assessment. And titignan mo din dito, the accountability. Usually, titignan mo kung response ba actually eliminated, reduced, or displaced yung problem. So kung hindi, kailangan mong mag-look from the other side nung ginawa mong response. And what is decision making? Tandaan natin, in the final sentence, decision making is, it is a part of problem solving. Diba? Minsan kasi nagkaroon ng confusion. Problem solving daw, yun yung pinaka-entire journey. Pero decision making, yun yung pinaka-specific na kailangan mong gawin in critical moment. That is decision making. So ngayon, ano ba yung mga key characteristic na decision making? Pwede siyang base sa intuition. Ano pag sinabing intuition? Gut feelings, personal instinct. Bakit siya ginagamit? Usually, sa mga high-stress situations or kapag wala ka ng time, nabasahin pa yung report o mag-analyze pa ng statistics. Ano ang risk? Usually, personal bias, emotional intelligence, or pwede kang magkamali. Facts naman. Sa facts, ito naman evidence-based ang approach natin dito. At ito po ang pinaka-best basis natin for decision making. Bakit? Meron kang data, you have a concrete evidence, diba? And meron kang mga intelligence that could guide your choices. Saan siya ginagamit? Usually kapag may strategic planning, administrative operation, or nagkakandak ka or nag-create ka ng mga policy. At ano ang benefit dito? Wala kang magiging personal bias. Lahat ng magiging decision mo are based on justification or factual evidence. Experience. So usually, madalas na gagamit talaga to in decision making. Meron ka ng mga past successes, past failures, past operational outcomes. Ngayon, kapag dumating yung new crisis, pwede mong ma-imagine yung pattern na yun. Oh, parang ganito din nangyari before. So, nag-success naman or okay naman yung outcome nung in-apply ko na decision or courses of action dito. So, maybe, pwede kong pitikin ng konti tsaka ako i-apply ngayon. So, that is experiences. Next, key characteristic of decision making. Meron tayong considered and operations. Pag sinabi natin considered, simple as that. You are consulting others. Diba? Simple as that. Tinitignan mo yung perspective ng others or consulting them. That is the considered opinions. And when we say operation research, so from the word research, ito na ay through the use of complex, meron ka ng analysis, simulations, or any methods to evaluate yung options is scientifically. Tinitignan mo doon kung alin ba talaga yung mag-work out all throughout kapag ka-implement mo siya. So, hindi ka basta nag-guess lang. So, what might happen? You are using or you are analyzing based on the research kung ano talaga yung effective, talagang kagamit-gamit, 100% that could address yung isang issue. Now, we have types of decision, organizational and personal, policy and operative decisions, individual and group, tactical and strategic, program and non-program. Isa-isay natin. Pag sinabing organizational and personal decisions. Of course, nahati sa dalawa. Pag sinabi organizational, it is made explicitly to advance yung goal ng isang organization. Pero pagka personal, yun ay ginagawa mo, made by, as an individual. Mag-reflect dyan yung personal life, hobbies, or private matters, including yung organization. Next, pag sinabing policy and operative, pag sinabi natin policy, usually that is the strategy. Pero pag sinabi natin operative, yun yung execution. Sa policy, you are designing, usually ang nag-decide dito is the top level of the management, chief of police, chief of the PNP, mga director, commissioners. Ano ang sakop? The entire direction, values, and rules ng organization. Pero sa operatives, usually ang gagawa dito, yung mga nasa lower level na. Ba yung pinaka-scope nito from the bigger picture na isinet ng higher level of the management. Titignan mo na siya on the daily operation. Paano mo ma-execute yung isinet doon sa taas effectively and efficiently. Next, individual and group decision. Pag sinabing individual, single person, acting alone. And pagka-group, of course, collective decisions yan. Puntahan natin muna, individual decision making. So dito, ang pinakatatandaan, once again, lahat ng decision, evaluation, information processing, and the responsibility is on a single person. Kaya yung personal judgment, nasa kanya lang. Ngayon, kailan ba siya ginagamit? Emergency or life-threatening situation. Reality tayo. Di ba? May nangyaring emergency. Gatawag ka ba ng ganito? Na kung saan ay tagal pang pag-uusapan, pwede magkaroon ng conflict. Actually, doon siya nagagamit. Ano pa? When immediate action is required. Diba? Usually, kapag like for example, merong yung patrol officer nakakita ng suspect vehicle matching doon sa kidnapping description, ano ang kailangan mong gawin? Hingi ka ba ng kung ano pa mang advice coming from your superior or from the other, or pwede ka na mag-decide on your own? Bakit? Immediate action ang kailangan. Or when communication with other is not possible. Sakali man nasa hostile environment ka, wala talagang communication, ikaw na po ang bahala doon. Diba? Wala kang radyo, walang satellite signals, so nasa sayo na po yun kung na mag-decision. Pero pag group decision, again, ito po ay group, sabihin with the collaboration, combined perspectives, combined expertise, analytical skills from the other. So, kailan siya pwede gamitin? Of course, designing operation. Very important yun. Kasi minsan ikaw, as a person, nakakaligtaan mo yung other angle or ibang side ng operation. So, kung merong iba, so pwede mong ma-realize na tama yung sinabi niya. Ano ba? Planning operations. Like raise hostages, hostage rescue, large-scale law enforcement action. So, tama din yun. Kasi nga, kung mag-execute ka ng mga ganyan na high-risk operation, so usually, kailangan mo ng advices or experiences coming from the other. Diba? Kasi mga mamaya, meron dyan na nakapag-experience na or merong may mga high-level knowledge or na pag-aralan talaga nila yung ganong uri ng operation. And next, tactical and strategic. Pag sinabi natin tactical, routine. Yan po short-term, daily, and mga immediate operational adjustment. Pag sinabi naman natin strategic, yan po yung mga basics. Usually, yan po yung mga long-term, and usually, the overall organization's future ang tinitignan po dito sa strategic. And next, program and non-program. Sinabi natin program, decisions, usually yan po yung mga repetitive and mga structured na choices. Bago pa mangyari yung since na nangyari yung situation, frequently, so nag-create na ng mga SOPs. Like for example, sa arrest, search, meron na tayong SOPs. Ang tawag din, program decisions. Hindi ka na magtatanong, sir, paano po pag ganito nangyari? Sir, paano po ganito? Kasi meron ka ng SOPs. Sa non-program naman na decision, so unique. Depende to sa situation. Usually kasi may mga situation na unprecedented or yung mga unexpected. Kailangan na dito ng critical thinking, problem-solving skill ni manager. Paano niya isosolve yung nag-arise na problem. Right, and for the last, we have the law enforcement operations and planning with crime mapping. Nandiyan ba, guys? Pwede bang paki-thumbs up? Nabawasan tayo Nabawasan tayo ng 12 na viewers. Hinga lang ako guys ng konti 11, start tayo ng enforcement operations and planning with crime mapping. So once again, some of the topics ay medyo magiging mabilis tayo. Kasi napag-usapan na natin sa other side nitong subject and actually mga kaya-kaya nyo na. Mga concepts and context. Next, police operation. Pag sinabi natin police operation, once again, yan po ay tungkulin responsibilidad at gawain ng police habang sila po ay nasa field. That is police operation. So, hindi po yung tinutukoy na ikaw ay PNP lang. So, hindi. You can be an NBI agent, you can be a PDEA officer, you can be a patrolman. Diba? Reserve ka ng warrant, nagkakaroon ka ng bypass operation, or you are just simply patrolling. So, that is a police operation. So, ito po ay meron tayong 7. So, maging mabilis tayo. Public safety. Sa public safety, ito po ay ini-ensure na ligtas ang public. Actually, sabi nga dyan, promote public safety. Actually, nagkakatak ng search, rescue, operation, fire drill, and earthquake drills. So, law enforcement operation. So, mag-i-issue ka ng, mag-serve ka ng warrant of arrest or any loss related as long as kailangan mo siyang i-execute. That is law enforcement operation. Next, internal security operation. So ito po kasi kapag at stake yung ang internal security ng bansa para maprotektahan ang banta sa seguridad, counter-insurgency, laban sa mga rebelde, counter-terrorism operations. So yun po ay internal security operation. Number 4 is special police operation. Kapag kailangan ng mga specialized training, huwag niyo kakalimutan specialized training. Usually, bakit? Ito po yung mga peculiarity or mga high-risk operation that cannot be handled by a regular officer or law enforcement officer alone. Kaya nga papasok dyan yung hostage taking, roadblock operation, crowd control, sa rally, di ba? So, yun po ay special police operation. Next, intelligence operation. Usually, ang intelligence operation, yan po ay invisible work. Bakit? Patago po yan. Clandestine. Surveillance operation, counterintelligence, intelligence. Yan po yung mga pagkuha ng mga raw data. And pinaprocess po yan para maging intelligence. Malaman mo kung saan yung naglalagay yung mga sindikato, saan mga nakalagay yung mga illegal na tawag dito, contrabands. Next, investigation operation. So from the word investigation, you are gathering pieces of evidence. May nangyaring krimen, pumunta ka sa krimen, nag-gather ka ng pieces of evidence, maintain mo ang chain of custody, present po yun sa prosecutor, that is investigation operation. You need to determine the facts. Ano yung facts? The crime has been committed, at sino yung suspect, sino yung mga biktima. Number 7, scene of the crime operation, SOCO. Ito na, meron na itong kinalaman sa scientific operations, usually mga forensic operations. That is complex na at kinakailangan na ng SOCO for the scene of the crime operation team. Okay. Next, what is RA 7438? Maging mabilis lang din tayo dito. It is the act defining certain rights of the person arrested, detained, or under custodial investigation. At yung duties and responsibility ng arresting officer. Siyempre, kapag yan, inaresto mo, ikinulong mo, iniimbestigahan mo, tungkulin mo ng pulis na mahawak sa kanya na protektahan mo yung kanyang karapatan. Hindi siya pwede masubject for any kind of abuse that is against under this law. Ano ba yun? Kailangan ma-informan siya ng kanyang karapatan. Kung siya ay Tagalog at nakakaintindi ng Tagalog, Tagalogin mo. Kung siya ay English at nakakaintindi lang ng English, Englishin mo. Ilocano, Bisaya. As long as ma-informahan yan in the language known to and understood by him. Na ano, kailangan niyang manahimik. Diba? Or meron siyang karapatang manahimik. Meron siyang karapatan as a competent and independent counsel. Diba? So that is the second. So that is also known as the Miranda rights natin. And be assisted by the counsel at all times. So, obligado po yan. Bakit siya kailangan assisted? Kasi po, during ng social investigation, but if they want their own lawyer, kailangan i-facilitate mo yun. If they can't afford one, sabi nga doon, one must be provided sa kanya. And preferably by his or her own choice. Duties of public officer, a person arrested, detained, or under custodial, investigation cannot afford, na binamagit natin kanina, bigyan mo po siya. Saan na nakukuha? Usually, you need to contact the public attorney's office. Next. And regarding naman sa privileged communication, ang counsel natin is allowed to confer privately. Ba, hindi po pwedeng i-record yung conversation nila. You cannot stand in the room as a police officer habang nag-uusap sila o mag-eavesdrop ka doon. Bakit? The privacy po ng counsel is violated. Wala na. Yung intercustodial process natin is tainted. So, ayun po ay kaya napakahalaga na that the accused natin must be assisted by the counsel at all times. And next, be visited by or have conference with. So, pwede po siyang bisitahin ng kanyang asawa, ng kanyang fiancé, ng kanyang anak, ng kanyang magulang, ng kanyang kapatid na lalaki at kanyang kapatid na babae, kanyang grandparent, ng kanyang grandchild, ng kanyang uncle or aunt, nephew or niece, and guardian or ward kung ilaalagaan po siya ng ano pa, ng doktor, ng pari, ng ministro, o maaari po nilang piliin yan. Diba? Or may ininda ka bang sakit, o pwede kang magpa-check up. Ng mga non-government offices, basta accredited by the Commission on Human Rights or ng Office of the President, pwede ka pong bisitahin mo na. Next, arrest. Sa arrest natin, sabi ito, pwede siya made only on the basis of the valid warrant of arrest. That is the general rule. Bago ka mag-arrest, kailangan merong warrant of arrest. Pero there are exception. Alam natin yan. Next, no violence or unnecessary force shall be used in making arrest. So, pwede lang po natin gamitin is, of course, necessary force. O, hindi ka pa pwede magkandak ng violence, suntukin mo, i-headlock mo, hindi po pa pwede yun. So, you must use only necessary. Ba't ka tumatawa, Rodel? Tama naman yun meron kasing police officer na headlock kasi ay. So, hindi po pa pwede yun. Kailangan lang necessary force. Again, you are only allowed to use the level of restraint necessary under circumstances. Ngayon, kung si suspect nakikipag-cooperate naman at binibigay na kami sa'yo, ba't kailangan mo pang boljakin? Bakit mo pa kailangan hampasin ang baton mo? Diba? Ang goal mo is to control and not to injure. Tandaan. Next, general rule natin, any day of the week, pwede po nating mag-aresto and any time of the day or night. Kahit gabi, basta may warrant, pwede kang mang-aresto. Sino daw po ang nag-i-issue? Si judge lang po ang nag-i-issue ng warrant of arrest. Ano pa? No longer needed if the accused is already under detention. Kung nakakulong na akusado, hindi na po kailangan ng warrant. Sa halip, ang ibibigay na po ng judge dyan ay commitment order. Okay? Na kung saan, kailangan na po siyang dalhin doon sa tawag ito sa institution kung saan po siya ilalagay. Next, guidelines in arrest. So sabi dito, meron po tayong mga individual that is immune from arrest. Senator or members of the House of the Representatives. Okay? Kung sino mang senador at kung sino mang ambasador ng iba't ibang diplomatic countries na meron pong relation with the Philippines. But please take note mga kapatid. Sabi dito, by not more than 6 years of imprisonment. Ano po yun? Ibig sabihin lang, limited po yan. Kung ang krimen na makukumit ni Senator, ang krimen na makukumit ng one of the member of the House of Representatives, punishable ng 6 years imprisonment. Okay? Or I mean, more than 6 years of imprisonment. Kahit po while in Congress yan, pwede po silang arestuhin. Maliwanag po tayo din kasi malinaw yung while Congress is in session for an offense punishable by not more than. Pero kung yan ay more than 6 years na, kahit na po yan ay ongoing yung Congress, pwede pong mang-aresto. Liwanag Pero immune sa diplomatic agents or yung mga ambasador ng ibang bansa. Next. Warrant of arrest, alam na natin to, that is a written authority, yung pinakasulat in writing, pinahihintulutan po ang pulis o pulisya na arestuhin ng isang tao para siya po managot sa ginawa niyang krimen. And eto na, with the validity, 10-day rule lang Kapag ngayon naka-receive kang warrant, you have exactly 10 days to try and implement it. Bakit? Ang pinay-prevent dito, ng warrant, pabayaan mo na lang dyan. At hindi ka mako-compel to serve yung warrant. Kaya meron kang 10 days validity para at least ikaw, compel ka to serve the warrant. Ngayon, kapag kayong 10 araw, lalagpas natin, hindi makuha yung suspect o hindi mahuli suspect. Ano ang kailangan mo? Meron kang another 10 days to submit a written report to the judge. Ano ang kailangan mong gawin? This is called return. If you fail to make the arrest, kailangan mo magkaroon ng justification, pumunta ka sa judge. Like for example, hindi ko po siya makita kasi bali-balita, lumipad po siya ng ibang province. Ngayon, pag nakita ni judge na okay, justifiable reason, bibigyan kayo ng alias warrant. Or i-declare na itong suspect as fugitive para maalarma na even yung other police stations or other units. So, ganun po ang nangyayari. Next, arrest without a warrant. Sabi na peace officer or a private person may without a warrant arrest a person. Meron tayong tatlong circumstances. Paulit-ulit tayo dito. Committed, actually committing, attempting to commit, in flagrante delicto, has just been committed and he has probable cause based on personal knowledge at pursuit. When the person to be arrested is a prisoner who has escaped or escaped while being transferred or from one confinement area to another, yung tawag po doon ay escape prisoner or escape. Or, sabi dyan, bail jumpers or release on bail. Kung mo nasa bail ka, bigla kang aalis ng bansa. Wala na pong kailangan warrant of arrest doon. Ikaw ay pwede nang damputin ora mismo doon. Pero, meron pong sinasabi, kung ikaw may nasa bail, pwede ka pong kumuha na tinatawag na travel authority sa korte. Ngayon, kung wala kang travel authority at ikaw nasa bail, hindi ka pa pwedeng umalis ng bansa. And then, violation of conditional pardon, of course, nasa conditional pardon ka. Sabihin, kapag nakakommit ka pa ng another offense, so ibabalik ka. Kapag ganun po ang sistema, hindi ka na po kailangan pa ng warrant of arrest. Ikaw po ay tawag dito. Wait lang guys. Okay, continue. So, hindi na po kailangan pa ng isang police officer kung sino pong law enforcement officer na magkaroon ng warrant of arrest para ikaw ay i-convict. Okay? And arrest following the deportation proceeding by the Immigration Commissioner against illegal and undesirable aliens. Like for example, ikaw foreigner, overstaying ka na or sangkot ka sa illegal na gawain, kapag naglabas na po ng final deportation order ang immigration, so pwede ka na pong arrestuin agad kahit na wala na pong warrant of arrest. Next, punta tayo sa procedures, serving of warrant of arrest. First, you need to verify first the validity. So you need daw to request for authenticated copy. Bakit? Para lang makita mo that the warrant na meron ka ay legitimate, of course. And in serving the warrant, the police officer should introduce himself. So malinaw po yan. Pakita mo yung pakilala mo yung sarili mo, pakita mo yung ID mo, at sabihin mo na ikaw ay police. Sir, pwede po kami pasend na PPT niyo po, sir. So, tanong natin sa may hawak po ng Leia area, if po pwede. Kung pa pwede naman, i-share ko na lang sa kanya para siya na lang po mag-share. And then, make manifestation of authority against the person to be arrested. Of course, pakita mo that you have an authority. Sabihin mo sa tao na ulihin mo na inaaresto mo siya. You are making an arrest. Diba? Meron po siyang violation or meron siya nalabag na batas kung bakit siya inaaresto. Number 4, if refuse entry, the police officer may break into any residence, office building, and other structure where the person to be arrested is in or is reasonably believed to be in after announcing his purpose. Diba? Like for example, merong pag-aarang sa bahay o sa opisina man. Kung tatanggihan yung pagpasok mo, pwede ka pong pumasok doon sa kahit na anong tahanan o opisina pagkatapos mong ipaalam yung layunin mo at hindi ka pa pwedeng pigilan. Bakit? Meron ka pong warrant of arrest. And then yung warrant mo, pwede mo ipakita pagkatapos at hindi po siya kailangan hawak agad. Kaya nga sabi dito, need not have a copy of the warrant. Ibig sabihin, like for example, inaresto mo yung individual. And then sinasabi niya, akin na muna, ipakita mo muna sa akin yung warrant of arrest bago ko sumama. So hindi po pwedeng i-demand yun ng taong inaaresto mo. Bakit? According dito sa Rule 113, the procedures po ng serving of warrant of arrest, the police officer need not have a copy of the warrant. Hindi kailangan na hawak mo agad yun. Kaya kita mo sa kanya, naresto mo siya, sumama siya, pakita mo sa kanya later on doon sa may presinto. That's the procedure. Next, secure the person to be arrested and use handcuffs. Of course, siguraduhin ang kaligtasan mo, gamitin mo yung handcuffs. Kung wala kang handcuffs, so the cable tie. Gano'n namang hirap ng pulis nun, cable tie yung gamit, yung makabili ng sariling handcuffs. Number 7, conduct thorough search for weapons and other illegal materials. Of course, hanapin mo kung meron siyang kontrabando, armas sa katawan, and inform the person to be arrested of his rights. Then under the Miranda warning and anti-torture warning. Malinaw sa kanya nabanggitin mo yung kanyang karapatan. No unnecessary force, sinulit lang. So huwag kang gagamit ng labis na puwersa, kailangan necessary. Depending on the circumstances yun, ha. Pagka sinuntok ka na, suntokin mo na din. Mayroong ganun lang yun. Kailangan it must be equal. Confiscated evidence shall be properly documented with the chain of custody of evidence. Paano to? So, kailangan po ng evidence, it must be properly marked, tag, diba, the date and time, sino yung humawak. Kailangan po lahat yan ay nakalag. Bakit? Kasi po, yung mga evidence na yan, if it is mishandled, yan po ay magiging inadmissible. Yan po ay magiging under na ng fruit of the poisonous tree. Hindi na po yan pwedeng gamitin laban sa individual. Kasi nga po, yan po ay papasok na illegal search. Next, bring the arrested person to the police station or documentation. Of course, yun na siya kuha na ng mugshot, fingerprints, and all. Number 12, make a return of warrant. Balik daw yung warrant, ipaalam mo sa korte, o naisagawa na po yung arrest, your honor. Then number 13, deliver the arrested person to jail. Bakit? Meron tayong 12-18-36, huwag niyong kakalimutan na kapag hindi mo yan na-deliver sa tama o sa judicial authority within those period, ikaw po ay merong violation of the Rule 125. Delay or the delivery of the arrested person with the proper judicial authority. And kung meron naman ng commitment order, diretso mo na doon sa jail or prison. Search and seizure. So sabi dito, search warrant shall be issued only upon probable cause. Unang requisite. Pangalawa, determined, yung probable cause, determined personally, the incident must be determined personally by the judge. And then, pangatlo, kailangan yung complainant and witnesses must be under oath or affirmation. Pang-apat is the particularity of the place to be searched and the things to be seized. So, yun po yung mga requisites. Tingnan natin. Ngayon, ano ba yung mga objects? Una, properties which are the subject of the offense. Pag sinabing properties, kung ano man yung paksa doon sa krimen, bagay na directly doon sa nagawa. Kung may kasong robbery yan, ano ba yung kailangan mong hanapin sa kanya? O, hindi ninakaw na gamit o ninakaw na pera. Ano pa? Stolen and embezzled proceeds or proofs of the offense. Mga ninakaw o legal na kinita. Like for example, ninakaw yung cellphone. So, yun po yung mga stolen o embezzled na ginamit or proceeds. And, kung naibenta na like for example, o yung pera na pinagbentahan nung ninakaw. Then objects including weapons, equipment, and other items used or intended to be used as a means of committing offense. Ito po yung mga illegal item, like isang baril na ginamit sa pang-hold up, o yung ginamit mong martilyo pagbukas ng pinto. So, ang tawag po doon ay weapons or equipment. Next, punta tayo sa objects that are illegal per se. Pag sinabing illegal per se, ito po ay, sabi dito, even if not particularly described in the search warrant, pwede mo siyang kunin. Saan papasok na doctrine? Plain view doctrine. Kahit hindi nakasaad doon sa warrant, pwede mong kunin yung bagay na illegal sa sarili nitong katangian, in its nature. If it is illegal in nature, walang problema. Kuhanin mo. Kung nakita ng pulis yung shabu sa mesa habang nag-inspeksyon ng bahay, so pwede po niya kumpiskahin yun kahit hindi nakasaad yun sa warrant. Okay, basta tandaan ang mga requisites. Yung pagpasok mo doon sa bahay, illegal. Una, meron kang warrant or consented. Pangalawa, yung discovery mo doon sa bagay na illegal is inadvertent. Pag sinabing inadvertent, hindi mo talaga hinahanap yung bagay na yon, you just stumbled upon it. Pag sinabing stumbled upon it, aksidente mga kaibigan. And illegal nature, ibig sabihin, immediately apparent sa'yo, alam mo na yung bagay na yon ay illegal. May nakita kang mahabang armas doon, o illegal yun, in nature. So, pwede mong kuhanin po yun as illegal per se. You cannot, or you don't need a separate warrant for that. Kasi papasok na po yun sa plain view doctrine. Next, validity of search warrant. Kung na-issue na po yung warrant noong November 1, pwede mo ito gamitin hanggang November 10. Pagkatapos po, hindi na po siya pwedeng gamitin sa mga sumusunod pa. Pero, pag nagsimula yan ng November 1, pero tapos marami ka pang kailangan na i-accomplish at hindi kaya, so pwede po siyang magpatuloy hanggang November 10. Pero, para po sa pag-rehistrado tapos may papel. Pag-rehistrado at may papel yung baril, ganito yan. Hindi ka bibigyan ng tawag dito ng FEO, ng Firearms and Explosive Office ng PNP ng papel at hindi mo mai-rehistro yun sa kanila kung wala ka namang karapatan na magkaroon ng ganung baril. Kasi sinabi nating illegal firearms, usually mahaba talaga yun. Mga high caliber firearms na usually ang pwede lang na mag-acquire nun is mga sundalo, mga kapulisan. Yan. Pero kapag meron kang baril na yon, kasi alam na ng pulis yun na those are illegal firearms. Pero kapag meron ka naman necessary equipment na may papakita na talagang pinayagan ka, walang magiging problema po doon. Alright, tandaan natin, but 10 days from the date of issuance, so that is the search warrant. Pero pagka 10 days from the receipt, that is the warrant of arrest. Again, pag hindi ma-accomplish, kailangan mo bumalik doon sa judge. Tama ba? And you will going to ask for an extension. So, yun lang naman ang hiniling ng judge. Kailangan mo siyang i-inform bago matapos yung 10-day validity. Next. If the object or purpose of the search warrant cannot be accomplished within a 10-day, yun ay binabanggit ko, you must file for an extension. Time of search. Kung kanina, any time of the day, of the week, and any time of the day or night, sa rest, ito naman, daytime only. Unless it is specified doon sa warrant natin. Okay? Paano ba yung sinasabi na exemption? Kung yung police mapoprove doon sa judge by a sworn affidavit na yung property to be seized might be moved, destroyed, or is only present at night, so pwede pong mag-conduct ng search sa gabi. Next, about the search and seizures without search warrant. Medyo mabilis na lang tayo dito. May naaresto ka. Pwede mo siyang i-search para sa armas o anumang bagay na pwedeng gamitin sa krimen. Kahit wala kang search warrant. Okay? Pwede mo rin i-search yung paligid nga kung like for example, kung controlled siya yung paligid. So, naaresto yung suspect. Pwede mo i-check yung bag niya o yung surroundings, yung malapit na mga bagay sa kanya. Next, search of moving vehicles. Ito usually, kung may dahilan yung police na maniwala na may krimen o ebidensya sa sasakyan mo, so pwede ka na lang i-search. Diba? Lalo na kung suspected yung driver ay drug transport o drug courier, so pwede pong i-check yung sasakyan kahit wala pang warrant. Pero, kailangan maunawaan dito, unang-una, it must be searched. Lalo na kung checkpoint ito, in plain view once again. Plain eyesight. Okay, kung checkpoint po yan Pero ibang usapan ako talagang yung sasakyan na yon is naka-alarma at identified at alam na mismo na yun yung characteristic ng sasakyan, ibang usapan na po yun. Pwede na pong buksan ng atin pong mga pulis na nilalaman po nun. Next. Seizure of evidence in plain view. Pinakita po natin ito kanina. Skip na po natin. When there is waiver of the right or there is consented search. Para pag sinabing waiver of right, pag sinabing waiver of rights, so kailangan si person, alam niya na meron siyang karapatan. Of course, property niya yun. Pangalawa, alam niya at naunawaan niya na meron siyang, or he or she can refuse. Pwede siyang mag-say no. Diba? If they think they must comply because, for example, hindi niya alam na pwede pala siyang tumanggi. Na-intimidate, kaya umuo. Pag binanggit niya yun doon sa korte at hindi naman niya pala naunawaan, yari kang bata ka. Lahat ng ebidensya na nakuha mo doon, baka nga makasuhan ka pa ng illegal na pagpasok doon sa bahay at yung evidence na nakuha mo will be inadmissible. Kasi nga, hindi naman naunawaan nung individual na meron pala siyang karapatan na humindi. At ano pa, intention. Kailangan na consent must be clear and unequivocal. Hindi dapat tinakot, hindi mo dapat niloko, aware siya. Diba? Pwede mo itanong, Sir and ma'am, pwede ko bang i-search po yung bag ninyo? Pero pwede po kayong tumanggi. Pero pag tinabi na, yes, pwede niyo po i-search, okay lang po, that is consented search. Ma'am and sir, pwede po ba kami pumasok sa iyong bahay? Meron lang po kami sa search, pero meron po kayong karapatan na tumanggi. Kapag sinabing no, doon sila pwedeng pilitin. Next. Searches under stop and free school. The police officer has the right to stop the citizen on a street, interrogate him, and pat him for weapons whenever he observes unusual conduct. Please take note, unusual conduct. Pinahinto mo. Kasi meron ka nakita ng unusual conduct Pag sinabi ng unusual conduct, ikaw as a police, naniniwala ka na possible may mangyaring criminal activity. That is unusual. Pinay-stop mo, yung frisk naman, yung officer na-observe niya, na further convinced na yung person ay armado. Ngayon, kapag pinahinto mo, nakita mo, hindi naman siya armado, interrogate mo lang, subject for questioning, go na. Pero yung frisk, iba. Na-observe mo na yung individual ay pwedeng armado, armed and dangerous. Pwede ka mag-perform ng pat-down of the outer clothing only. Pag sinabing outer clothing only, hindi mo pwedeng ipasok yung kamay mo sa loob ng damit, sa loob ng pantalon, sa loob ng salawal, kung saan mang loob yan. Outer clothing only. Just pat-down. Right, next. So, reasonable suspicion or hunch. So, sabihin, pag sinabi nating reasonable suspicion, hindi ka pa pwedeng magpahinto ng tao dahil mukha lang siyang kriminal. So, magkaiba po yun Nakita mo, mukhang kriminal, pinahinto mo, magkaiba po yun. Hindi po yung reasonable suspicion. Okay? Like for example, may nakita kang tao, nakaharap dun sa jewelry store. Diba? At paulit-ulit na hinahawakan yung relo doon, like for example. Parang naglilinga-linga siya. That is unusual conduct. Pero nakita mo, nagwi-window shopping lang naman, mukhang kriminal, ay iba po usapan. Next, emergency and exigent circumstances. Ano ba yung mga emergency or exigent circumstances? So, pwede po nitong i-bypass yung warrant kung may emergency or krimen na nangyari agad at sarado yung korte. Like for example, may sunog at may hostage dun sa loob. Pwede pasukin agad ng pulis para hanapin yung ebidensya o armas. Ligtas yung hostage dun sa loob. So, ano pa? Tumatakbo, nagkakahulihan. Pumasok dun sa isang lugar yung individual. May karapatan ka pong pumasok doon at mag-search ng bahay at hanapin mo yung tao na yun kung may arrested ka. Next, tip information. Para pag sinabing tip information, alam naman natin, mga pulis nagkakantak po ng intelligence-led policing. Hindi naman natin lagi nakikita yung krimen sa mata lang natin. Usually, we are relying on informants or sa tips. Ngayon, kung yung tips nakita mo, kailangan daw yung tip must be reliable and specific. And kailangan makapag-provide ng probable cause. At kapag ka na-determine yon, reliable, specific, and with probable cause, hindi ka na po nangangailangan ng warrant of arrest, search warrant. Okay? However, kailangan si Korte, kailangan maging very strict dito. O hindi pa pwede na anonymous yung text message, hindi pa pwede yun. Hindi po enough yun. Pero makita mo, listahan ng informant mo, may who, what, where, when, why, and how, very detailed. So that can be reliable. Paano mo masabing reliable? Reliable. Kasi galing yun sa informant mo, mga trustees mo. Next, tayo dito, planning as management function. Maging mabilis kasi banggit na natin to kanina sa dalawang subject. Management, there is the use of people and other resources. Once again, so pag sinabi nating management, diba, parang napakasimple, magamit ka ng individual, pero it must be effective and efficient without wasting any resources. We have categories of plans. So ano ba muna yung plano? It is made out of in advance. So sabihin ito ay mga detailed procedures na nakapaloob doon or aim or goal ng isang organization before, diba, to execute yung action. Then types of plan. So we have it according to time, use, scope, or threat. So tayo sa time. Sabi dito, time is most critical and most elusive and most often abused. So dito, napakalaga ng timing, whether you are planning, ano ba, for the future or present time. Kung yan naman ay, nawala yung according to time ko. So tatlo yun eh. So according to time, so we have the short, yun ang may cover niya is 1, okay, or 1 day to 1 year. Then we have the intermediate, that is 1 to 5 years. And then kung mag-exceed ng long range, that is the 5 years and above. So according naman sa use, we have 2. Sinabi natin single use. So ito po ay for single use. Sabihin lang, it is for non-repetitive, for unique situations. So kapag ka natapos na yung event, diba? And so hindi na pa pwedeng gamitin po yung plano na yun. And then when we say standing plans, actually ito na po yung mga for repetitive situations. So yun po ay design. For example, exact same task lang naman din yung gagawin and 1,000 times per year mo gagawin yun. Hindi na po kailangan na gumawa pa ng panibagong plano. Actually, yun po yung ginagamit natin during patrol, kapag nag-aaresto ka, conducting search, mga SOPs natin. Next, according to scope, we have the strategic. Ano ang sakop ng scope? Di ba, pang matagalang plano po yan para maabot yung overall objectives of the organization. Halimbawa, yung kumpanya, so tinignan na makapag-target ng in 5 years, so 5 years and above, so yun po ay strategic planning. And at the same time, sa strategic planning, you are thinking of the bigger picture. Diba, hindi lang siya basta paano ka mag-aresto ng suspect bukas. Usually, tinitingnan doon, paano ba ipoposition yung entire organization with the next 5 years or with the next 3 to 5 years. Next, tactical planning. So, ang ina-emphasize dito is how this will be accomplished sa tactical. So, paano ba allocation of the budget, allocation of the personnel. So, yun po ang tactical planning. And also, ito po ay short term ang focus niya. Usually, kapag tactical plan, lang dito, yung may mga certain kang campaign, drug campaign, anti-drug campaign, so something like that. And operational, ito po ay day-to-day, diba? Kung yung strategy is where the organization will go, and then tactically how, and operational naman is who. Okay, and the standard. Ibig sabihin, sino yung mga individual that is appropriate doon sa specific task. And paano gagawin, ano ba yung mga rules of engagement and protocols na kailangan gawin ng individual na yun. So yun po ang operational. And at the same time, it is a highly detailed operation. Types of plan, reactive. So paano pag sinabing reactive, binangyaring krimen, nagresponde ka. That is reactive. So, sabi nga dito, has no plan. Diba? You are just react or respond based on the crime arise or situations arise. Pag sinabi naman natin proactive, eto, you are creating plan before that situation or that commotion happens. Like for example, nagpatupad ka ng traffic control plan bago yung bago yung araw ng rally. So that is proactive plans. Bakit? In-anticipate mo na yung problem, nagpatupad ka na ng plano bago pa mangyari. Kung sa firefighting, kung sa PFP, reactive planning is firefighting, sa proactive planning is fire prevention. So, ano lang siya? Sa police is responding to a crime, pero pagka proactive, that is crime prevention. That is proactive. Missionary, sinabi natin missionary, sabi nga dito sa nakaguhit, what it could do in the future. Diba? The potential of the organization. You are looking what could we become kung hindi lang siya basta solving about crime today, pero tinitingnan natin paano nga yung police force ay makapagpapabago ng future or makakapagbawas ng kriminalidad with the next many years. That is vision. And at the same time, it serve as the guide of the organization in implementation and operational procedures. Next, strategic. As I said earlier, it is long range and the overall goals of the organization are involved here. So, usually, again, ito po ay pangmatagalan. And actually, yung makikita natin, diba, to be the most, to be modernized in the year 2030, 2035, 2038, so that is strategic plan. And operational, to meet the specific task, sabi ko nga sa inyo, highly detailed. May strategy ka pero wala kang tactics, hindi mo rin makukuha yun. So, ang operational, ganun din. So, meron kang plano, at ang operational plan, that is how you will achieve or how you will do specific operations or missions. So, that is the operational. Next, strategic plan technologies. We have two, SWOT and the vision, mission, and goals. Sa SWOT, we have the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. When we say strengths, yun ay kalakasan, advantages. Those are the things that can help the organization to operate, but to accomplish its missions. Weaknesses naman, so those are hindrances. Those are constraints. But those are the things that can make the progress of the organization slow. That is the weaknesses. And opportunities, yun naman ay mga, please take note, those are external factors, okay, that could be tapped. Paano yun? Like for example, in the conduct of investigation of the police, opportunities, yung alin, kung meron kang CCTV cameras doon sa may isang lugar, nakatapat sa may pinangyarihan ng krimen, that is opportunities. Ano pa? With the collaboration of other law enforcement agencies, those are opportunities. Bakit? Those are the things that can be tapped in order for the unit to move forward or have a progress. And threats, ito naman ay, sabi ito, pose serious challenges to the organization kasi ito po yung mga internal, diba? And usually, those who are involved in the organization itself, yun po yung tinitignan as a challenges. Next is strategic plan technologies, vision, mission, and goals. So dito po sa vision, mission, and goals, mission, ang purpose ng organization, the layunin, diba, dahilan why the organization exists. The vision, that is a dream or aspiration. Diba? Ano ba yung kailangan maabot ng isang organization? And the goals is the step-by-step procedure in order na makuha yung target or the results in a certain period of time. Police planning, nabanggit na natin kanina, the police plan. So involved po dito yung ating mga police leaders. They are combining logistics, intelligence, personnel, Ang single lang naman lang ina-address is the public safety, public order. Then we have the kinds of police plans, 5, policy and procedural plan, tactical plan, operational, extra office and management. Ulit-ulit na lang tayo sa tactical and operational. Pero ano ba ang policy and procedural? Ang policy and procedural, so meron kang policy, ang policy, those are the things that, kumbaga, that guides, or the rules that guides how the members of the organization think. That is the what and why. Those are the policies. And procedures, those are the how, the step-by-step instruction kung paano mo gagawin yung what and why doon sa may policies. Next, the tactical plan. Once again, it is short term. So meron kang specific task, in a specific location, and then kailangan ng specific individual. Ang tawag po dyan ay tactical plan. So like for example, merong robbery doon sa specific building. So, saan ka ba maglalagay ng sniper? Di ba? Saan ka ba maglalagay ng roadblock? So, tawag po doon ay tactical plan. Specific missions, meron pong specific situations, and at a known locations. Operational plan, binanggit natin. It is highly detailed. Actually, po yung day-to-day na ginagawa ng atin pong, sabi nga dyan, patrol, detective, and juvenile control divisions. Or the tip, the traffic, the investigation, or the patrol procedures na ginagawa ng mga kapulisan. So that is the operational plan. Next, extra office plan. So from the word extra office, ito po ay collaboration of the police department sa community. So usually, meron tayong tinatawag na barangay peacekeeping action team. And nandyan din yung kabataan kontra droga. Usually, those are plans that is established or implemented by in connection or with the cooperation ng community natin. Next, management. So management plan, again, paano ba maiaayos yung whole organization smoothly na nagagawa yung trabaho with effectiveness and efficiency. Then guides to good plan, we have the SMART method. Yung plano daw must be specific, simple, sensible, and significant. Ang tinutukoy lang natin dito, kailangan with clear or with clarity rather, and it must be simple. Naunawaan ng makakabasa. That is specific. Measurable, from the word measurable, so it can be counted. Diba? Kasi paano natin masasabi na meaningful yan if hindi mo nakikita yung magiging progress mo. At least you can track down your progress if it is measurable. And at the same time, kung hindi mo na-attain yung goals mo, at least you can improve response time to time. So base doon sa kailangan mo i-achieve. Attainable, agreed or achievable. So dito naman, kailangan daw you are realistic. You need to balance your ambition with reality. For example, ang gusto mo, makapag-patrol ka 24/7. Ang problema, the reality is, kulang ng sasakyan, kulang yung tao. Hindi ito attainable. So, kailangan balance. Kulang yung tao, kaya mo ba siyang hatiin per shift? Okay ba yung mga kagamit ang gagamitin? How about yung sasakyan? So, pwede po siya. So, that is attainable. And relevant, so dapat meron daw kabuluhan, reasonable. And at the same time, you need to ensure na yung relevancy ng gagawin mo is in accordance with the mission itself. What is your mission? Ba? To enforce the law, prevent and control crimes. So, kailangan yung gagawin mo is in accordance with that. So, kaya nga sabi dyan, that matters to you or what matters to organization. And the time bound, of course, ito po yung sineset natin, the deadline. So, kailangan pong matapos siya. Diba? Kailangan siya maging time limited or time sensitive. Bakit? Kasi kung wala kang time frame, hindi mo po ma-measure yung cost or your success. Like for example, sinabi mo, kailangan bawasan ng 10% yung crime rate. Pero anong nilagay mo? 50 years bago mo matapos. Na hindi po success yun, failure yun. Napakatagal mo naman dapat matapos. Kung nilagay mo doon, reduce crime by 10% someday. Okay, hindi po time bound. Pero pag sinabi mo, reduce crime by 10%, diba? With the succeeding 2 months, So yun po ay may time bound and meron kang deadline. And pupunta na po tayo sa last topic. Siyempre, magpupusuan na yan. Siyempre, last topic na. The crime mapping. Okay, so ang crime mapping it is a term used in policing to refer to the process of conducting spatial analysis with crime analysis. So ito po yung proseso, again, na ginagamit ang alin? Mapa o sa system natin o sa computer natin, geographic information system. Bakit? To analyze or to identify the crime hotspots. Diba? So ginagamit ito ng police once again to identify the crime hotspots. Para at least with that, makapag-create ka ng plans on how we're going to act and operate with that certain or specific location. Kasi alam naman natin na yung krimen, hindi naman sometimes na nag-happen randomly. Usually, it follows patterns. Kaya ngayon, kung meron kang spatial analysis, tinitignan mo where, kung saan, at why, doon sa location na yun nangyaring krimen, pwede kang magkaroon ng conclusion and makatulong ka pa in solving doon sa mga nasa underlying factors kung bakit nakapag-contribute ng kriminalidad. And what is crime mapping? Oh, I mean, yes pala, the crime mapping, again, ginagamit po siya o gumagamit po siya na geographic information system. So, geographic information system, yan po ay computer system that is capable na mag-store, magpakita ng data, relating po yan sa hindi lang basta mapa, kundi crime problems, specifically with a certain part or certain locations. So, pwede pong makita dyan per streets, diba? Pwede mo rin makita dyan kung per city, yung number or dami nung nangyari pong krimen. Yan. So, sabi nga dito, so pwede mo makita yung roads, your building, your lakes, the mountains, and even the information, yung krimen, number ng naaresto sa lugar, or any traffic accident data. So, pwede po natin makita yan sa geographic information system natin. So, ngayon punta tayo sa different features ng GIS. We have the point features. Simple as that. Tuldok. Kung yung makikita mong tuldok doon, yung bilog, doon sa GIS, that is the point features. At ano ba yung pwedeng i-represent ng tuldok? Simple as this. Pwede mong i-point yung mismong krimen. Diba? Pwede mong i-point yung kung saan mo na-aresto yung individual. So, basta as long as point, so that is point features. Next, line features. From the word line, so that is set of lines. May makita mong linya sa mapa. Pwedeng ilog, pwedeng kalsada, pwedeng linya ng kuryente, pwedeng ruta ng bus. So at least makikita mo doon kung ano yung, sir, pwede mo mahingi yung maps na nakapresent. Yes, kung may papasa naman natin tong PPT, nandun naman din yun sa may papasa natin. So ano yung kinalaman ng location ng lugar? So pwede po yan. Identify na yun ay sabana, yung isang line na yun. So pwede siya makakontribute in criminality because of the arc alley. So walang masyadong dumadaan and lack of police visibility sa lugar. And polygon, ito naman ang nire-representa, pwedeng isang lugar, pwedeng isang city, pwedeng isang barangay, pwedeng isang compound, diba? Pwede rin isang continent. O pwede po siya may pakita doon. The whole map of the Philippines will serve as, it is show the form of polygon. Sabi nga dyan, tatandaan nyo lang, it is a multi-sided figure with a closed set of lines. And the image, ito, real time. Kung nagawa nyo ng maghanap ng bahay ninyo sa Google Maps, yun lang din po siya with the satellite imagery. At least dito, pwede mo talaga ma-analyze as a crime analyst kung ano talaga yung pinaka-physical na itsura ng lugar. Kung bakit siya nakakapag-contribute sa krimen. Diba? At least, real-time po siyang makikita. Then we have types of crime mapping, point and symbol maps. So, ginagamit sa pin symbol maps and graduated symbol maps. Then sa area and density maps, gumagamit tayo ng choropleth, density maps, and isoline. Isa-isayin natin. Pin maps from the word pin. So magamit po ng tuldok, gumagamit ng pin. At ang anong ginagawa? To identify the exact location. Okay, please take note to exact location of the crime. Pag sinabi namang single symbol, ito naman, hindi naman siya specific location of the crime. Okay, pero ang pwede mong ilagay dito sa single symbol, pwedeng aksidente naman. So uh, other symbol, like for example, aksidente, puwera sa pin yan, puwera sa pin, pwedeng ibang symbol, pwedeng pa square, pwedeng pa star, as long as it is single symbol, pwede mo na siyang i-represent. Kasi sa pin maps, ito po kasi color graded usually it corresponds what type of crime yung naka-plot. Pero sa single symbol, any symbol po yan. Hindi po yan dot, hindi po yan pin. And graduated symbol, makita natin, symbols of varying sizes. It depends on the size. Kung mas malaki, mas maraming krimen. Diba? Kung mas malaki yung bilog sa lugar, sabihin mas madalas yung kriminalidad doon sa location. Pero mas maliit, gano'n yan, mas mainte or mababa yung kriminalidad. Next, regarding on the area and density maps, pagka-completo, shaded or color. Depende naman to sa color. Kung yung pin kanina, depende rin sa color. Ganito, ganoon din naman. Pero, shaded siya. Kinulayan. And at the same time, depende rin po yan sa gaano kadilim or gaano kaliwanag yung kulay. Kung binibigyan ka ng kulay na mas maitim, ibig sabihin mas mataas yung crime rate sa location na yun. Pero kung mas maliwanag o maliwalas, syempre yung concentration ng krimen doon mababa. And density, so ito ay concentration. So it is like a heat map. Usually parang alam niyo ba yung temperature? Pagka blue, walang ano doon. Ano ka, kumbaga safe. Patay ka na pagka blue. Pero pagka nasa gitna, buhay ka nun, alive. Pero pagka mataas, meron kang sakit. Parang ganito lang din po dito. Pagka blue, zero. O meron silang ano dyan, hindi ko na mabasa. Yung pinaka sakop. Pero pagka pula, yun na po ay pinaka maraming krimen na nangyayari. Kumbaga hotspots nga po ang tinuturing. Next, isolin. So ito ay gumagamit daw po ng contour. Alam mo po ba yung parang sabi nga dito sa weather map. So contour siya in a sense na sa labas kapag ka green, wala. Pero habang pumupula doon sa loob, nag-iba yung kulay, mas concentrated or mas frequent yung crime doon sa location na yun. So that is the isolin. Once again, contour lines ang ginagamit with this. Parang sa weather map natin. And also, once again, ang crime mapping po or the crime map analysis, GIS, ginagamit po yan in order to predict yung atin pong mga krimen kung saan possible na mangyari pa. Ma-prevent, ma-address in accordance with the specific location na ipapakita doon sa mismong system natin. So that's all for our crash course. Natuto po ba? Nakuha naman natin. So I hope na kayo ay makapasa sa inyong exam. Nawa ay makatulong yan sa inyong pagpasa